I think you'll sense a theme as we talk this week, and even with some presentations in the upcoming weeks and months, that Spring-Ford is future ready. I'm here tonight to talk to you about some changes from the Pennsylvania Department of Education, as well as some work that my department has been doing along with teachers and administrators to make sure all of our students are ready for whatever the future holds. By way of background, you probably know this if you are involved in education at all. Every Student Succeeds Act was passed in December of 2015 by President Obama, and it was a renewal of federal education policy so that the states can then take their lead from that. To comply, the Pennsylvania Department of Education submitted their plan. It was approved. It was submitted in September and approved in January, just last month, and so we now have some guidance from our State Department of Education for some things that we've been doing and some changes that you'll see when we report out in the fall about how our students have done. Pssa required schools to come up with a more holistic evaluation system, not a single score like we've done with SPP in the past. It will be released for the very first time in the fall of 2018. So instead of a singular SPP score, which we've reported on in years past, we'll actually be looking at the Future Ready PA Index. We're still waiting for a lot more information from the state. I can show you a little bit about what that looks like, and I can talk to you about some changes to this year's Pssa Test. The three major components of the Future Ready PA Index are state assessment measures. That's not new. We've always been measured on that. That's our PSSA and Keystone exams, as well as PVOS growth for students from year to year. The second major component are our on-track measures. There are a couple times that research shows we can really tell how students will do in the future by how they're doing in these particular areas. That's grade 3 reading and grade 7 math. They'll also be looking at ELL proficiency, attendance, and how well we're closing the achievement gap. The third piece, which is really new and different, is college and career readiness benchmark measures. They want us to start as early as elementary school talking to students about careers and what might spark their interest and what they might like to do in the future. Some other aspects of this particular measure will be our course offerings in AP, dual enrollment, and industry-recognized credentials. This will serve as Pennsylvania's one-stop location. They really wanted teachers and parents and school boards and members of the community to be able to see how schools are doing on a variety of measures and not focus on a single score as they had been doing with SPP. They wanted to make sure they were highlighting some areas that maybe hadn't been as important in the past or as weighed as heavily in the past. So English language acquisition is among some of the measures that weren't necessarily there before. Incentives to teach career education, and again, they're still rewarding course offerings such as AP, which is advanced placement, IB, which is International Baccalaureate, college credit, and programs such as at our Western Center. This is the best look I can give you. I apologize that this is what they've shared with us. So as you take a look at what this dashboard will look like, it literally is that. Down the left-hand column, you'll see all of the measures, and you'll see how each individual school did. You'll then see the statewide average, and you'll see the statewide goal. The color-coded section then on the far end talks about how well your school did. Blue is obviously very good. You would meet or exceed the statewide goal. Red is obviously not good. You haven't met statewide targets or progress targets. So for example, if you take a look at that third column there where it says statewide goal, that's a goal that's set. You can see the state average is significantly below that. So there will be some schools that are falling below there that would be too big a jump for them to make, so they'll be rewarding growth every year toward that goal. And then there's a green target, obviously, for if you're meeting that. Okay. I was able to get one other little picture. I stole these from a webinar. I just got some screenshots because they haven't released a whole lot for public consumption. So you can take a look here at some of the categories, which you saw if you were paying attention to the SPP and you got into the individual components of that score, you would have seen some of these. But this is talking specifically about English language arts proficiency, the number of students that were proficient and advanced school performances in one column, and then the other two as we explained before. It's a dashboard approach. It's something that they won't be fettering down into one single thing. For the purposes to continue to comply with Pssa, Pennsylvania needed to find a way to create this public-facing report card, which is what we'll see, the Future Ready PA Index dashboard, not the SPP, That won't be what's released any longer. To figure out which schools are in need of additional help, they will be pulling a couple of, and they haven't identified them to my knowledge yet, they'll be pulling some items out of this dashboard to identify schools that need comprehensive support and/or targeted support. You will still hear about the SPP scores, however, because for the purposes of teacher evaluation, they needed a single score to put into those teacher evaluations. So that will still be available, and we will plug that in to the teacher evaluations. So whenever there's change, and there seems to be change every year, we think about, are we ready? What have we done? Are we prepared for this? And I'm so proud to stand here always and represent the district, but I'm especially proud to say that the pieces that we're putting together, many of them we have in place. Our teachers work so diligently, our students do, our administrators do. There's a team effort to make sure that all of these pieces are in place and we continue to work toward helping every student succeed. So when they talk about the newest feature with the Future Ready PA Index is college and career readiness, I'm part of a group that's going to the IU to make sure that our plan is aligned with Pssa and to make sure that we have all the benchmarks in place for the different grade levels that need to be there. One of the things that my department does daily is we take a look at the data that we have coming in from curriculum-based assessments. We're continuing to look at our PSSA and our Keystone data. We're looking at curriculum-based measures, and so we're trying to work right alongside principals and teachers to figure out where students might be falling behind to make sure that they're ready for the assessments when we take them. So one of the things we really had to do this year was learn what the new PSSA test was going to look like. So I have a couple of graphics for you. So this is English Language Arts Grade 3, and I wanted to show you the old test next to the new test. So if you're looking at the old test and you're just wanting to jump right down to those totals, you can see that it would have taken anywhere from 176 to 208 minutes, and there were 4 sections to the test. What's different in this upcoming year is there's only 3 sections, and the time has been reduced. Okay? The other columns represent multiple choice, that's that first one, or evidence-based short response. The other column is short answer, and then the column for the number of passages students have to read, and then the number of minutes per section on the test. So if you take a look side by side, certainly one of the sections is a lot shorter, one sits right in the middle, but the removal of that 4th section is critical. What that means for teachers in English Language Arts, and you'll see this on the next slide too, there's much more emphasis on the type of question we call text-dependent analysis. So rather than writing a narrative or an informative piece or an argumentative piece, which they've always had to do on the PSSA, that's not a part of it any longer. They'll be relying on students to answer questions based on the text that they've just read. So we've been doing a lot of work with our teachers on how to instruct that and how to give good feedback, so our students are moving in that direction. So I'll just give you another second to look at that. When I flip to the next one, it's ELA grades 4 to 8, so that's just a little bit different. Okay. What you see with 4 to 8 is, again, there's only 3 sections. It's about the same time for the test, maybe just a little bit shorter, but fewer sections. Same number of passages to read, and the TDA in the new test column is that text-dependent analysis I was referring to. Our teachers know this. We've worked with them. We've worked with the principals so that nobody's surprised by this new test when they take it in the spring. Math looks just a little bit different. They took out a section entirely. So instead of section 1, section 2, and section 3, there's just 1 and 2, but if you take a look at the total amount of time, it's actually longer. So they cut the test by sections and extended the time. And honestly, I think that's because students may encounter more multi-step questions. They need to be a lot more thoughtful about their work and replying to them. So there's a little bit more problem solving, less just that skill-based question. Okay. So again, I said my department works really well with our administrative team. We have a tremendous team here, and teachers too, to really pay attention to what is the data telling us at any given point in time, and how can we intervene early and often so that students are prepared when they face this new test, which seems to be new every couple of years. The next slide I show you is going to be kind of big and messy, but I wanted you to see the number of things that we're doing just from my curriculum and instruction office. Both Heidi Rocklin is here, our math supervisor, and Katie Gardy, our literacy supervisor, and they're leading a lot of that work with our math and English teachers. So again, I apologize ahead of time. These are some of the action steps that we've taken as a department in the area of mathematics, from data meetings to initiatives such as guided math, very much like guided reading, numeracy initiative where it blends over into art and music, and library and PE. We'll take every second we can get for professional development. That's before school, that's common planning time. They've worked on the curriculum as well to chunk it, take a look at the assessments, what they're telling us, do they need to be tweaked, how can we change instruction based on that assessment information. We've had additional training in everyday math. We've worked with special education as well as general education teachers in these areas. So when you see this slide and it looks like a lot, it doesn't represent everything, and it surely doesn't represent the work being done at the building level with the building teams and the principals. And then this last one is ELA. Similar things. You'll see that we've really looked at the data from grades 3 through 8 from PSSA, in addition to all of our Keystone data as well. We've held data meetings with teachers. We've really worked with our facilitators, twice a month professional development in the 5-6 building because their schedule really allows for that. Continued data review and data analysis beyond the PSSAs. We recently completed foresight testing, which is a predictor of the PSSA, and our department shared out with every principal how everybody did so they can use that data to move forward. So I stand up here very proud of the work that our teachers have done and our administrators have done and our team continues to do. This is a tremendous community where education really matters, and so it's a pleasure to work with those who deliver that instruction and support our students every day. And because I felt so ready and so proud, I found a quote that kind of reflected that. Because I do feel like we're ready. I think our teachers are up for the challenges. They challenge us. I learn from them every day, and we're really excited about what is ready in the future for our kids.